I got the looking back blues, and I don't mean looking back Texas. Every blast from the past is a punch to my solar plexus. Every time I drive down memory lane, all I find is a pile of pain. I got the looking back blues, and I don't mean looking back Texas. That's right.
Welcome to the Rock and Review, and if you like that, you're going to love his brand new album. Jason Ringenberg has Stand Tall, and what a great album.
Thank you, Eric.
You know, it's so much fun, listening to the album. It's hard to pick a favorite on here, although, as I told you, Looking Back Blues that you played part of, John the Baptist was a real humdinger, although I still think my personal favorite, knowing the story, God bless the Ramones, because you guys, as Jason the Scorchers, which you used to be the frontman for that band as well, you guys toured with the Ramones in 1982.
We did. It was our first big tour in big venues. We were just a little club band in the Midwest and South. And we didn't even have enough money to barely even get to the show. We were so broke, and our van wouldn't work. We didn't have amps. Our bass player didn't even have bass strings.
And it says that in the song.
And by golly, Dee Dee Ramone actually gave Jeff, our bass player, bass strings. That is a true story. We didn't have bass strings.
And I like the way you did the lyrics and the whole song, because it really, nobody knew the Ramones back then. And they were struggling, and they were broke. And now everywhere you look, there's Ramones T-shirts, there's posters and everything. And I like it that you really state that in the song.
Yeah, none of them are alive except one, the drummer, the second drummer.
Right.
Is all that's left of the band.
Well, and I'll tell you what, your instrumental piece on Stand Tall, but I mean, your voice just sounds amazing on this. And I mean, you're covering so many cool genres, like Many Happy Hangovers to You. It's like, and I was telling you with Stand Tall, I could hear that being like on a TV or movie soundtrack. It's just, it's very, how did you come up with these songs? Where did you really start writing them at, Jason?
I wrote these while being an artist in residence at the Sequoia National Park. I know that sounds like a press hype, but it's the truth. I spent a month as artist in residence out there, and they said, okay, here's a cabin up in the mountains, write songs and do a few shows for us. I didn't even have to write songs about the park or give them the songs. They said, just write songs and do a few shows.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the catch here? Where's the fine print?
Exactly.
That doesn't sound right. But it was. They were so cool. So, I mean, I didn't even have power in the cabin, Wow. And I could walk like 200 yards and be up in the mountains. I could walk down 1,000 feet and be in the sequoia groves.
Yeah.
And so I wandered around for a month writing songs.
That is so amazing.
Fantastic experience.
But, I think also, and I mean this, listen to your new album, Stand Tall. I think that shows, though, with the creative process, that you were able to really hone in on these songs. And you mentioned the sequoias, too, being there amongst the trees and in nature. And, I mean, it seems like it really inspired you, Jason.
It's almost cliche sounding, but it really was. I mean, just to be free of all the cares of everyday life and to be in that place, I mean, I wrote a song, John Muir Stood Here, and that's actually the truth. I was walking in a place called the Crescent Meadow, and beautiful sequoias, beautiful meadow, and swamp, and wetlands, and there was a little sign that said, John Muir stood here and decided he was going to try to save this area of the park from development. And I just, right on the spot, wrote, John Muir stood here, John Muir stood here. Right where I'm standing, he could see it all crystal clear. And there it was, it was cool.
I love it. I love that song, too. I found it so interesting, obviously knowing about your career and your band as Jason and the Scorchers and being a fan of that. And then you also evolved for a while, in between raising a family and living on a farm. And you were raised in Southern Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois, yeah. Right, North Peoria, right.
And so, but then also you ended up doing this Farmer Jason, to where you were playing for kids and everything also that a lot of people may not know about, and you garnered a lot of fans that way.
Yeah, I still do Farmer Jason shows quite often, and we had a great run with that. We just had a whole
and you got an Emmy for it.
I did. Won an Emmy.
Not bad.
Not bad. It's hanging right on my... And my daughters have already which one gets the Emmy, when I leave this world.
Well, that means you have to win more.
I have to get
maybe
3 of them.
Maybe this album,
right.
So if you get, one more here, all you need are a few more, and you'll have it done.
There you go. You have them all covered.
But I thought it was so cool also, with somebody as gifted as you, doing that with Farmer Jason, bringing the music to the kids, keeping them entertained with your music and how you do it. How great is that?
Oh, I mean, you can never have a bad gig playing for kids. Even if it's just a few little kids and they're, one's got a cold and one's running around, and it's still just the best. It's the best. Yeah.
Well, and I think it comes out in your voice. When I listen to your voice, I'm listening to your songs, I'm smiling because it's like you sound like you're smiling while you're doing it.
Oh, I thoroughly, believe me, I fully understand at 60 years old to be playing music for folks. Oh man, I mean, I get what a privilege this is.
Yeah.
I get that.
And that you're out on
100%.
tour now with a brand new album that just came out this last February. And plus, you're working with some pretty cool Epiphone guitars now too.
I do, yeah. This is one of my favorites. This is a Masterbuilt 500.
It's gorgeous.
And I love it. I love Epiphone guitars. They're
and you
good
tour with
guitars.
them too.
I do. I mean, they're not only do they sound great, but I could throw this guitar across the room and pick it up and play it, and it would work. They're tough.
But don't try that at home, folks.
Yeah, don't try that at home. But I mean, Jason Ringenberg touring, it's a tough thing, and I've played Epiphones now for 20 years.
Well, and you still got such a fan base in Illinois and all over the country, and I think what you're going to be touring up into Minnesota. You've got some big stuff going on for 2019.
Yeah, we're busy with this record. It's my first solo record in a long, long time.
Yeah.
14 years, something like, and I'm really finding that, there's folks that really care about my music.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get in front of them as best I can.
Well, and there's so many great songs on here, too, as we talked about earlier, and I love also inside the cover to where you show, the mountains and everything.
I took that picture.
Really?
Yeah, it's on my cell phone.
Look at you, Ansel Adams.
Right,
That's
how about
fancy.
that?
Well, I really enjoy this whole album. I think that you're really speaking through your songs and through the songwriting, and you kind of worked between Southern Illinois and you had some Nashville heavy hitters working on this also, didn't you?
Oh, it was an amazing experience because I recorded this with actually the first band I played with in college, Shakespeare's Riot and Catalina's. Guys I had played with literally 40 years ago.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And then I brought some of the tracks to Nashville and played with some Richard Bennett and Steve Fischel and George Bradfute. It was an amazing experience.
It's
Steve
like
Fischel's an amazing still guitar player. He's
you get the best of both worlds because you've got your old band, from back home, and then also, from when you went to college, and then you've got the top Nashville musicians.
Right.
How can this album fail? I'm
And
thinking another Emmy.
For Richard Bennett, as a matter of fact, I just traded him some vegetables for this. That's there's Nashville, Tennessee, right there.
That's when you know
right.
you're home and
That's
you know
not
the
going to
people.
happen in Los Angeles.
No,
sir.
it's not.
No, sir.
I do the same thing with homemade wine. It's like, oh, you want this? How about a bottle of homemade wine? It's like, well, I make homemade wine. Okay.
Whoa.
So we got to work out a trade.
There you go.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'll tell you what, incredible album. However you consume music, whether you download it or whatever, but I suggest you get the whole album. And if you go to the website too, and follow him on social, you can get it signed.
I will sign it actually to you. I mean, you put a little note and say, I'd like this to Marianne, and I'll do it. And that's
will you have the album out on tour also? Because you're going to be all over the country this year.
Yeah.
Well, I love this album. It is Stand Tall with Jason Ringenberg. Get the album. Go see him on tour. You're going to have fun, and I promise you're going to hear songs you're going to love, and you're going to love this. Thanks for watching the Rock and Review.